Summer in the Blueberry Garden. This summer was special for Amir. He was 28 years old, and after many years of dreaming, he was finally working full-time in his family's blueberry garden. His parents had started the project a few years earlier, but this was the first season when everything felt organized, professional, and full of potential. Amir felt proud, responsible, and excited about what the next months would bring. Every day of the summer began almost the same way. Amir woke up early, usually before the sun rose completely. The world was quiet at that hour. When he stepped outside, the air was still cool, and the ground carried the soft smell of soil and plants. He liked this moment. It gave him a calm start before the long day ahead. He always began by walking slowly between the blueberry rows. The plants stood in long, straight lines, each one in its own pot of cocoa peat and soil mix. Amir checked the leaves carefully. He looked for changes in color, small signs of stress, or any marks that could show early problems. Then he checked the moisture level. Sometimes he used a simple device. Sometimes he just touched the soil with his fingers. This routine had a rhythm. Step by step, plant by plant, Amir learned the language of the garden. It was almost like the plants spoke to him. When something was wrong, he could feel it. When everything was fine, he also felt a sense of peace. After the morning check, Amir usually met with his dad near the small storage hut. They drank tea together and talked about the plans for the day. Some days were harvest days. Some days were for maintenance. Some days were for preparing new packages, cleaning tools, or fixing the irrigation lines. But every day had its own structure, and Amir enjoyed following it. When harvest days came, the whole family joined. The sun rose slowly, and the berries looked bright and fresh in the morning light. Their deep blue color shined softly. Amir always felt something special during harvest. It was a mix of joy, hard work, and pride. He picked the ripe berries gently, making sure not to damage them. The sound of the berries dropping into the bucket was soft but satisfying. His mother worked next to him most of the time. She moved quietly, but she always picked fast. Sometimes she told stories from her childhood. Sometimes she talked about the future of the garden. Amir liked listening to her. Those conversations made the work feel lighter. In the afternoons, Amir focused on the business side of the project. After lunch, when the sun became stronger, he moved into the small sorting area. There, he checked every single berry. He removed the ones that were too soft, too small, or damaged. He wanted customers to receive only the best quality. Then came the packaging. Amir designed simple but elegant boxes for their brand, Tever Blueberry. The design was clean, fresh, and modern. Each box had a small logo he created himself. When he first saw the printed labels, he felt almost emotional. It was the first time he saw the name of the brand on a real product. It felt like a dream, slowly turning into reality. Marketing was another part of his daily work. Amir took photos of the garden, the berries, the packaging, and sometimes short videos of the harvesting process. He shared them on social media and wrote short posts about the season. He noticed that people liked seeing natural, honest, and simple content. They liked seeing the story behind the berries. Orders started coming from everywhere. Some customers wanted 1 kilogram, some wanted 3. Some cafes and restaurants even asked for larger amounts. Amir wrote back to every message carefully. He answered questions, shared prices, and arranged delivery times. He wanted every customer to feel special and appreciated. As the weeks passed, the garden became busier. The harvest increased. The weather changed. The days felt longer. But Amir never felt tired in a negative way. The work was hard, but it was meaningful. He knew that every hour he spent in the garden brought him one step closer to a bigger dream. Sometimes in the late afternoons, Amir took short breaks under the shade of an old tree near the edge of the land. From there, he could see the entire garden. The rows looked beautiful and perfectly organized. The plants moved slowly with the wind. The sunlight touched the leaves in a golden tone. Watching this view gave Amir a deep sense of satisfaction. He often thought about how far he had come. A few years ago, he had no idea about soil, pH, drainage, irrigation systems, pollination times, or how sensitive blueberries could be. Now, he could talk about these topics with confidence. He realized that learning a craft with your own hands was different from learning it from books. Real experience changed everything. Evenings in the garden had their own special feeling. After dinner, Amir sometimes walked with his mother or father along the paths. The air was cooler by then, and the sounds of insects filled the night. They talked about their plans for the next year, how many new plants they could add, whether they should build a small cold room, or how they could improve their marketing strategy. Sometimes they talked about the idea of opening a small farm shop, a place where customers could come, buy fresh berries, taste blueberry desserts, drink coffee, and walk among the plants. Amir liked that idea. He imagined a small wooden building, clean and simple, with a sign that said, "Tever Blueberry Farm Shop." On some nights, Amir prepared future plans alone. He sat at his desk with a notebook, drawing simple sketches of new layouts for the garden, writing cost calculations, or developing ideas for the brand. He thought a lot about quality, customer trust, and consistency. He wanted Tever Blueberry to be more than just a product. He wanted it to be a story, a family story built with love and effort. But not every day was easy. Some days brought challenges. There were times when the weather suddenly changed and too much rain caused stress on the plants. Sometimes birds tried to eat the berries before the harvest. Sometimes a part of the irrigation system stopped working, and Amir had to fix it quickly before the plants lost too much water. These moments tested his patience, but they also taught him something valuable. Every business has problems. Success comes from solving them calmly and consistently. Amir learned to take a deep breath, think clearly, and act fast. Halfway through the summer, Amir's confidence grew. Customers kept sending messages saying the berries tasted amazing. They liked the size, the sweetness, and the freshness. Some customers even sent photos of desserts, breakfast bowls, and cakes they made with Tever Blueberry products. Amir saved all the photos. Seeing people enjoy the berries made him extremely happy. One evening, after a long week of harvesting, Amir sat alone on the porch. The sky was full of soft orange and pink colors. The warm wind touched his face gently. At that moment, he realized something important. This garden was not just a business. It was a place that shaped him. It taught him responsibility, discipline, and patience. It gave him a daily purpose and a long-term dream. He understood that a real brand was not built in one day. It was built in small steps, one plant at a time, one customer at a time, one honest effort at a time. Amir was ready to take those steps every day without rushing. As the summer slowly moved toward its end, the garden reached its peak. The plants were strong, the berries were sweet, the customer list was growing. Amir felt grateful. He felt that this was only the beginning of a much bigger journey. On the last warm evening of August, Amir walked through the garden again. He touched the leaves gently. He looked at the sky, then at the land his family worked so hard to build. A soft smile appeared on his face. This summer had changed him. It made him realize who he was becoming. It showed him that building something with your family, with your own hands, was one of the most meaningful things in life. The blueberry garden was growing, and so was Amir. As September arrived, the air in the garden changed. The nights grew cooler, the mornings carried a thin layer of mist, and the sunlight looked softer than before. The long days of intense summer heat slowly gave way to a calmer season. For Amir, this transition felt like an important moment. Summer had taught him how to work hard, how to care for the plants, and how to build the foundation of a family business. Now autumn was here to teach him how to grow that business step by step. Every morning still began early. Amir woke up before the rest of the house, listened to the quiet kitchen, and drank his tea slowly while looking outside. The garden looked different now, not tired but settled. The plants stood strong, their leaves darker, their branches thicker. The berries were fewer than in summer, but the quality was still excellent. It was the perfect season for careful harvesting and strengthening connections with customers. After finishing his tea, Amir walked out to the garden with a notebook in his hand. He checked the rows like he always did. He noticed that some plants were growing faster than the others. This made him think about which varieties were stronger, which ones needed more support, and how they could plan for next year's expansion. He wrote small notes. Row 3, strong growth, good size. Row 7, extra feeding needed. Row 12, consider pruning next month. His father joined him a few minutes later. "Good morning," he said as he stepped into the garden. "The air feels cleaner today." Amir nodded. "It's a good day to check the irrigation lines again. We should make sure everything is balanced before the weather becomes colder." They worked side by side in comfortable silence for almost an hour. They walked through the rows, listened to the sound of the drippers, and adjusted the lines where necessary. Sometimes working with family did not require many words. There was a rhythm, a quiet understanding. Around mid-morning, Amir went to the small office area they had built inside the storage hut. This office was simple, just a wooden desk, a chair, and shelves filled with boxes, scales, labels, and tools. But to Amir, it felt like the heart of the business. This was where orders were managed, customers were contacted, ideas were born, and plans were written. He turned on his laptop and opened the messages. New orders had arrived overnight, 3 kilos from a family living in the city, 6 kilos from a restaurant that wanted to use blueberries for weekend brunch plates, and a request from a pastry shop that asked, "Can we get a consistent weekly supply until November?" Amir smiled when he read that. It was the kind of message that made all the early mornings and long days feel meaningful. He replied with gratitude and arranged the delivery schedule. He also asked if they wanted samples of jams or sauces in the future, because he had recently been thinking about producing small jars of blueberry jam using simple, natural ingredients. When he told his mother about the idea, her eyes immediately lit up. "We can try small batches first," she said. "Real fruit, just a little sugar, maybe lemon zest for freshness. And we can add it to the farm shop menu when we open one," Amir said. His mother laughed softly. "You dream big, Amir. But dreams are good. Dreams are targets," he replied. Later that afternoon, Amir began preparing the orders for the next day. He carefully sorted the berries, checked the packaging, and prepared the labels. He enjoyed this part of the work. It made him feel like he was touching the final outcome of all their effort. Every box he closed was a message to the customer. This is our best. This is our care. His sister Layla came into the sorting area while he worked. She held her camera and looked excited. "Amir, listen," she said. "I took new photos today. The light was amazing, and I think these photos are perfect for social media." He wiped his hands and looked at the camera. The photos were beautiful. One showed the sun shining through the leaves. Another captured a close-up of plump, fresh berries with tiny drops of morning dew. A third one showed their father carrying a crate of berries, his strong hands holding the box with quiet confidence. "These are incredible," Amir said honestly. "People will love them." "I also edited a video," Layla added, "a short one. You walking through the rows, touching the plants, smiling. It looks natural." When they posted the video later that evening, the response surprised them. Comments came quickly. "So peaceful. Your garden looks amazing. This feels like a dream life. Where can we buy your berries?" Some comments were from people they had never seen before. Others were from returning customers. The page began to grow faster. Amir realized something important. People were not only buying berries, they were connecting with the story behind them. That night, Amir and his father sat outside on the porch. The sky was dark, but the stars were bright. "You're doing a great job with the brand," his father said in a low, steady voice. "Thanks, Baba. People trust you. I can see it." Amir looked at the stars and thought about those words. Trust. It was one of the most important things in business and in life. He wanted Tever Blueberry to be a name people trusted. The following week turned out to be one of the most intense of the season. The cafe orders increased. A new grocery store called asking for a weekly supply. A hotel by the beach asked if they could feature their berries in their breakfast buffet. Amir felt happy but also pressured. He needed to plan everything perfectly. The harvest schedule, the deliveries, the sorting, the packaging, and the marketing. He created a weekly board in the storage hut where he wrote all the tasks for each day. This helped keep the family organized. For example, Monday, harvest 10 kilograms, delivery to cafes, social media post, morning light in the garden. Tuesday, maintenance of row 6, check irrigation, prepare new packaging. Wednesday, harvest 8 kilograms, delivery to grocery stores, update website. Thursday, family meeting about next season, jam test batch number 1. Friday, market preparation, Instagram live video, harvest day. One Thursday afternoon, they tried making jam. Amir's mother boiled the berries with sugar while Layla filmed small clips for social media. Amir stood next to the stove, tasting the mixture carefully. "This is good," he said, "really good." "We need to test how long it stays fresh," his mother added, "but this could be a new product for the future." Only a few hours later, they shared a photo of the jam on their Instagram story. A small jar with deep purple color placed on a wooden table. Their followers sent enthusiastic messages. "Will you sell this? When will it be available? I want 5 jars." Amir laughed. "We are not ready yet," he replied to one message, "but soon." As the days passed, the work increased, but the joy increased too. Amir felt himself becoming stronger, more confident, more experienced. He no longer felt nervous when speaking with customers. He spoke clearly, explained things calmly, and answered questions with knowledge he had gained from real work. One afternoon, after delivering berries to a new cafe, the owner said something that stayed in Amir's mind for days. "You don't just sell fruit, you sell passion. People feel it." That sentence felt like a quiet reward, but not everything was perfect. One Saturday morning, Amir found that birds had entered the garden and damaged several rows. They had eaten many of the ripe berries. He felt a moment of panic, but then he took a deep breath. He called his father and they quickly installed additional bird nets. It took hours, but they solved the problem. "That's farming," his father said. "Some days the garden tests you." "And we passed the test," Amir replied. That evening, while resting by the edge of the garden, Amir thought about the future again. He imagined expanding the land, adding more varieties, building a better storage system, creating a small shop near the entrance, offering tasting sessions, and maybe even organizing pick-your-own-berry days for families. He could almost see it. Children running between the rows, parents taking photos, baskets full of fresh blueberries, smiles everywhere. The dream felt close enough to touch. Autumn slowly arrived, and with it came new responsibilities. There is pruning to plan, soil to test, new pots to prepare for the next year's plants. Amir knew that each season had a purpose. Summer was the season of growth. Autumn was the season of preparation, winter would be the season of rest, and spring would bring everything to life again. He no longer felt afraid of seasons. They made sense now. They were teachers. And Amir was ready to learn more. As the last month of the season approached, he walked through the garden with a calm heart. The rows were beautiful. The plants were healthy. The brand was growing. Customers were happy, his family was proud, and he too felt proud, not loudly, but deeply. He understood that the garden was not only growing blueberries, it was growing him. As the last weeks of the harvest passed, the air grew colder each morning. The sunlight arrived later, and the garden slowly shifted toward its final colors of the season. The deep greens of summer softened into autumn tones, warmer, calmer, quieter. Amir felt this change in the air and in his heart. The intense rush of summer was over. Now came the season of reflection and preparation. One early morning, Amir stood at the edge of the rows with a cup of hot tea in his hands. He exhaled, watching the steam rise and mix with the cool air. The leaves rustled softly, almost like they were whispering goodbye to the season. The plants looked tired, but in a peaceful way, like workers who had completed their job well and were ready for rest. His father joined him a moment later. "It was a good season," his father said. "We worked hard. We learned much." Amir nodded. "And next year will be even better." His father smiled, a quiet smile full of trust. "Yes, I believe so." They walked through the rows together, noticing the last blueberries still holding onto the branches. Amir picked one and tasted it. It was sweeter than usual, as if the season was giving him one final gift. After they finished their morning walk, Amir went inside the small office area to begin planning for the next stage of their business. Autumn meant preparing the soil, cleaning the field, pruning the plants, and organizing everything for winter. But it also meant planning the expansion of Tever Blueberry. He opened his notebook, the same one he carried since early summer, and flipped through the pages. They were full now. Notes about irrigation, harvest days, soil tests, orders, packaging, new customer contacts, and ideas for future products. Each line represented a moment of learning, a challenge, or a success. He turned to a new blank page and wrote in clean letters, "Next season goals." Under it he wrote, "Add 200 new plants, build a small cold room, improve packaging design, expand cafe and restaurant network, develop blueberry jam and dried blueberry line, prepare for the first farm shop, create a new marketing strategy, teach Layla more about branding, learn advanced pruning techniques, continue building trust." He looked at the list for a long time. It felt both big and exciting, but he knew they didn't need to rush. Good things grew slowly. Later that week, Emir received a message from a well-known organic market in the city. They wrote, "We have seen your posts and received good feedback from customers. We would like to offer you a seasonal contract. Are you available for a meeting next Tuesday?" Emir read the message twice to make sure he wasn't imagining it. A seasonal contract, a real professional agreement with a respected market. He felt a sudden warmth in his chest, not fear, not surprise, something like steady happiness. He called his mother immediately. "Anna, they want a meeting, the organic market in the city." His mother's voice cracked slightly from excitement. "Mashallah, Emir, we will pray for it to go well." His father simply said, "Prepare well. Show them your heart." And he did. On Tuesday morning, Emir put on a clean white shirt and jeans, simple, comfortable, but respectful. He carried a box containing 3 perfect punnets of blueberries from the last harvest batch. He also prepared a folder with information about their farm, their process, and their future plans. When he arrived at the market's central office, he felt nervous, but he remembered something his father told him many times. "Speak with honesty. It is stronger than any tactic." The meeting room was bright, with big windows that looked out over the city. 2 managers sat across from him. They greeted him warmly and invited him to sit. "So, Emir," one of them said, "tell us about Tever Blueberry." Emir took a breath and began speaking, not with memorized lines, but with genuine passion. He told them about the family garden, the early mornings, the careful harvesting, the sorting process, the simple packaging, and the goal of delivering the freshest berries possible. He also spoke about their values: trust, quality, and honesty. He showed the samples. The managers tasted them, nodded slowly, and looked impressed. "These are excellent," one of them said. "This is the level of quality we want." By the end of the meeting, they offered him a 3-month seasonal contract with weekly deliveries. Emir thanked them, shook hands respectfully, and left the building with a heart full of pride. When he returned home, the whole family gathered around the table to hear the news. His mother hugged him. His father placed a strong hand on his shoulder. Layla recorded everything on her phone for the Instagram story. "Today is a day to remember," she said. And she was right. The weeks that followed were filled with preparation. They cleaned the rows, checked the pots, and arranged tools. They built a simple but functional cold room, using insulated panels and an efficient cooling system. Emir worked with his father on the electrical setup, learning things he had never done before. They also tested more jam recipes. His mother's second version was perfect, sweet but not too sweet, with a deep blueberry flavor that tasted like summer captured in a jar. Layla designed a label for it, and Emir tested how the jars looked under different lighting. They posted a photo of the jam on their Instagram page, and immediately many people sent messages asking when it would be available. "Not yet," Emir wrote to each one. "We want to perfect it first." At the same time, Emir began to think seriously about the idea of a farm shop. He walked around the edge of the garden, imagining a small wooden building with a porch, wooden tables, a coffee corner, and displays of fresh punnets, jars of jam, dried berries, and maybe even simple blueberry desserts. He imagined customers walking among the rows, taking photos, enjoying the fresh air. He imagined school groups coming for tours, families picking berries together, travelers stopping by on weekends. "This place has potential," he whispered to himself, "more than we even know." But he also knew it would take time, planning, and investment, so he wrote it down in his notebook under a new section. "Farm Shop, 2026 Plan." As October arrived, the garden needed pruning. This was a delicate process. Amir watched videos, read guides, and asked advice from experienced growers. His father taught him how to find the right angle for cutting, how to remove old branches, and how to create space for new growth. Pruning is not about cutting, his father said. It is about choosing the future. Amir thought about that for a long time. One late afternoon, while pruning a small bush, he realized something important. Farming and branding, working with plants and working with people, they all shared one truth. Growth required care, patience, and courage. He looked at the plant in front of him, touched its stem gently, and said, "We will grow together." The final days of the season brought a mixture of emotions. Amir felt proud of everything they had accomplished, the successful harvests, the satisfied customers, the new partnerships, the improved processes, the stronger plants, the clearer plans. But he also felt a deep responsibility for what came next. On the last warm evening before winter touched the land, Amir walked through the rows one more time. The sun was low, painting everything in gold. The leaves moved softly in the breeze. The garden felt like a living memory. He stopped at the center of the field and closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about the beginning, the first pots, the first leaves, the first berry he ever held. And then he thought about the future. Bigger harvests, stronger roots, new products, the farm shop, the growing brand, the customers who trusted them, and the life he was building. He opened his eyes slowly. "This is where I belong," he whispered. When he returned to the house, his family was sitting at the table drinking tea. They made space for him, and he sat down with a calm smile. He felt full, not just with thoughts, but with purpose. His mother placed a hand on his arm. "You've grown this year," she said softly. "Not just the garden, you." Amir nodded. "I know," he answered. "And next year, we will grow even more." The blueberry garden had changed over the months, and so had Amir. But the most beautiful part was this: they were growing together.